Hey, before we get in this episode, can you do us a favor? Will you go ahead and subscribe to the channel?
Will you ring that notification bell?
And if you would, give this video a like. Well, enough of that mumbo jumbo. Let's get to the episode.
Let's talk developmentally speaking, glow up, and connecting through wrestling.
Hey everybody, I'm Morty.
And I'm Brian.
And on today's episode of Connecting Through Wrestling, we have Magic Jake. Jake, how's it going?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Like I said, you guys just caught me after I got done working out, so a little tired. I've been a little sick over the last couple of days. I'm just now getting over that, but I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Can't complain.
I can't complain either, but nobody would listen if I did, so just kind of how it goes.
Right.
I want to start this off with the same question I start off every podcast with, and it could, like we said, it could either have the shortest answer or the longest answer. What made you get into wrestling?
That's going to be a long one for me. So I'll start off by saying, I grew up in a very tumultuous environment. I fell in love with wrestling at a very young age, but I wasn't ever allowed to watch it until a lot later in life, so I had to sneak it a lot. I remember my best friend, his name's Brian. I was invited over to his house one day, and he was watching Friday Night SmackDown, and I saw The Undertaker for the first time, and I just remember sitting and thinking to myself, wow, this guy's really cool. I really like his whole thing he's got going on, the dead man thing and the theatrics of it and everything. And I just thought he was so awe-inspiring. He just kind of struck me. And then obviously my brother had been watching it, and he was a big fan of The Rock. So he would always, he'd always be practicing people's elbows and rock bottoms on me, like everybody's brother does. He kind of, I would always sneak in and watch it sometimes while he was watching. And I just kind of grew to love it more and more until finally, I was able to watch it. And it kind of became an escape for me. For a long time, it was like my comfort, the most comforting part of my day was when I got to watch Raw or SmackDown. And as I grew up, I kind of went through my phases, and some people as they grow up, they kind of get away from wrestling or whatever, they stop watching it. And I ended up going into the military. While I was in the military, I kind of fell in love with acting, so I kind of got even further away from wrestling. I went into the acting side of everything. So I've been an active actor for about 10 years. And when I got out, my now ex-wife, it's a funny story. I never once thought like I can be a professional wrestler. I'm going to go be a professional wrestler. I was never like that. The way I grew up, I didn't have, I wasn't one of those dreamer guys. I was more looking for a way to kind of get out of the situation that I was in rather than chase my dreams, right? I was trying to escape a nightmare, not, chase my dreams. And that's why I joined the military. But once I got out of the military, my now ex-wife, she was, I'll never forget it. She was sitting at the table at our house when we moved to Nashville. She was sitting at our kitchen table, and I had just come home from work. And I think I had worked like 10 hours, and I was sweaty. This is back when I was like a line cook. And I was sweaty, just covered in grease. I'd been burned a couple of times that night. We'd been rushed all night. And I come home, I'm tired. I just want to take a shower and go to bed. And she's sitting, it's like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. She's sitting at the table with a glass of wine in her hand. And I open the door, and she looks at me, and she's, "What want to do with my life?" And I went, "Oh, here we go. What are you going to tell me?" And, I'm preparing for the worst. I'm like, she wants to be a dancer or like a stripper or something. And the last thing I ever thought would come out of her mouth, she looked at me and she goes, "I want to be a professional wrestler." And I went, "I'm in. 100%. Let's do it." And she kind of looked at me and she was like, "What are you talking about?" She didn't know that. And I've been kind of keeping up with the product. Um, I never really watched it with her. Like I would never get. She would always like see it on the TV and she's like, "Oh look, wrestling, ha ha ha," and I'm like, "Ah, it's funny, but I watch it." um, but she would never like. I would kind of keep up with it, and she never knew that ever since I was like 5 years old, I've been a fan of professional wrestling. So we joined a school called Tried and True Pro out of Clarksville, Tennessee, ran by the also member of the NWA, Anthony Mayweather, taught by other NWA alums, Thomas Latimer and Jeremiah Plunkett. And I was, at first I started it as like something that me and my ex-wife could do together. And I quickly realized maybe I'm pretty good at this. And kind of all of my coaches, obviously Jeremiah and Tom, I remember one practice, Jeremiah was teaching the beginners, and Tom kind of pulled me aside and he goes, he kind of looked at the rest of my beginning class. He goes, they're all doing great and everything, and they're gonna be okay, but you've got it. You know what you're doing. And I remember taking that to heart, and here we are a couple years later, and I'm kind of doing my thing on NWA. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, the first time I saw you in a live show, I was at the at Power Trip, and and you kept trying to light your cigarette, and I thought
Right.
that was the funniest gimmick I'd ever seen in a match. Was that your idea? Like, was that part of your gimmick that you created, or did somebody give you that idea? Or
So this is kind of, and Billy Corgan and Pat Kenny, I would, I'd die for either one of those men. And they've done so much for my career already. And I'm very grateful to them. But fun fact, Magic Jake was actually brought up by Raven. Raven was an agent for us backstage. He graced us with his presence for a little bit, and I remember Billy Corgan pulled me into the room. This was after Fable Jake, obviously. We were talking about it for a minute. I'd come backstage, and they were in a small office in Atlanta, Georgia, at GPB Studios, and I was talking to Joe Galley. This is back, obviously, when I'm Fable Jake. I'm nobody, right? And I'm just in passing with Joe Galley. I'm talking about something because Joe was giving me pointers. God bless Joe Galley. He was giving me pointers on something. And Billy Corgan crossed my path. And Billy, the previous taping, he had saw me in a tryout match. And he was like, I want to talk to you about your gimmick. So I saw him in passing. And Billy goes, or he just walks past. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Billy, do you mind if I speak to you for a second? He's like, yeah, what's up? And I go, do you have time to maybe give me a few things about my gimmick? And he goes, actually, yeah, come in this office with me. And I walk in the office. And this is the most intimidated I've ever been since the Marine Corps. I walk in the office. There's Billy Corgan, Pat Kenny, and Raven just sitting there. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm about to get fired. I was like, before I even start, I'm about to lose my job. But I walk in, and obviously, during the whole time, Camille comes in, Nick Aldis comes in, Tim Storm's coming in. So all the big stars, Trevor Murdoch came in at one point. All the big stars of NWA are walking in and out of this office, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm just standing. Obviously, it's so funny because the three of them are sitting down at their chairs, and I'm just standing up against the wall, kind of just waiting my turn. And Pat goes, well, Billy, what do you think about Jake? And this is the first face-to-face solo interaction I've had with Billy Corgan. And he looks at me straight in my face and he goes, yeah, I don't like your gimmick. And I went, okay, I am getting fired. All right, sweet. haven't even started in the business, 2 months, and I'm getting fired by Billy Corgan. But he looks at me and he goes, "But you've got something. I know you've got something because it's very entertaining what you do. I just don't like the gimmick." And then, we got the three best minds in the NWA just bouncing ideas off each other. All of a sudden, Raven goes, "You know what? What have you tried? What if we like dyed your hair? Is there anything else you can do? Is there like, can you juggle, or like, can you be like clownish, or do you know magic?" And I was like, "Hey, yeah, I actually know magic. I've done magic since I was a little kid. Since I was like 8 years old, I've done magic." And he goes, "Really? You can shoot magic?" And I saw Billy light up when I said that. And he goes, I go, "Yeah, I can do magic." And they're like, "That's what we do. We dye his hair black. We get him with a, he's running around all the women in the locker room. He's a sleaze ball. Like,
Love it.
we kind of get this rundown magician." And I go, "Okay." So they kind of gave me the ball, and I just took off with it. And I thought a good introduction of Magic Jake to the NWA. What's more sleazy than a wrestler that doesn't care about the win? All I'm trying to do is, light a cigarette the whole time.
It was so good, so good. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And now the cigarette is now with me to this day.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I, I think it'd be hilarious. Like you get a guy, get an opponent down on the mat and have him like hold him by the ear and then like act like you start pulling out a bunch out of their ears. I think that'd be hilarious.
Like handkerchiefs and stuff like that. Believe me, we got a lot of fun. We got a lot of funny stuff coming down the pike, and we got a lot of really cool stuff coming down the pike.
So, gotta ask, what brand guy liner do you use?
Actually, it's au natural. I just don't sleep very well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not I've been told to use the old guy liner, but I I haven't seen a need for it yet. I'll probably sooner or later, as the character develops, it'll probably come down to it at some point.
Yeah, because
it just hasn't hit yet.
Because that's one of the things that sold it for me as well was your eyes. I don't know what it is with the gimmick, but your eyes sell that the looks that you give. You have it's got to be the acting that you've done,
right.
Doing the facial expressions. I did acting in high school, and I've been a professional wrestling manager for 12 years, so I all facial expressions. So I can see, when you're out there, I see you convey more than just with your voice. You do it with your body motions and your eyes and your facial expressions. So I think that when they said that they saw something that you had, something, they knew you had it. It had to be because of that training. It had to be, because that's what I think puts Magic Jake over so much. But enough of me kissing your ass. Let's go on to NWA 74. You are facing, is it Mercurio? Is that?
Yeah. That is who I'm facing. The newly crowned Fabio romantic novel jackass that is Mercurio. Yes.
So, what do you think you have in store for him?
Well, Mercurio has lived his whole life with these lavish good looks and everything, and I'm not a fan of people who've been spoon-fed their entire life, either by money or loving parents or good atmosphere, good looks, strong bone structure. I don't attribute myself as one of the beautiful people. I've never come from a place where I'm like, I've always felt loved. And I'm going to teach him what it feels like. I'm going to kind of take that out on him. I want him to understand what it's like to be one of the ugly people. And if I had one word for Mercurio, if I had one little piece of advice for Mercurio, it would be to stay sharp, because I will.
And will we be blessed by the appearance of CJ in your corner?
Unfortunately, CJ will be in my corner.
Right.
We saw a lot. You know, we kind of got on the same page. There's a language barrier there a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, we're kind of getting on the same page. So
Right. Well, I mean, you say unfortunately, but I mean, she's your assistant. You have to pay her, right? I mean, that as your magic assistant. Yeah.
the NWA has to pay her. Yes,
Oh. Oh.
she's a she is a she's both an assistant, and I believe, you know, I keep her around because she's one of the hottest chicks on NWA. You know
Oh.
what I mean?
Oh.
And she's in my corner.
Oh. Well, that
So
makes it. I do have to say that I noticed it Always Ready. She is really good at displaying things. Like she displayed that chair for a real good amount of time. Um,
yeah, a good enough. I don't really remember
oh.
Morty. I really don't remember very well because if you don't recall, about 10 seconds later I was asleep.
Oh.
So
Oh, I didn't
I
recall
don't
that.
really remember that very well.
I do apologize. I didn't recall that. What I remember is if you look in the corner of that frame, there's a big sign that says "Watch Developmentally Speaking." If you look, it's the only sign in the audience. I don't know who was holding it.
I couldn't tell you.
No clue.
I was asleep.
But yeah, but I do look forward to your match. Brian, you got any questions for him? I've been taking over.
No, you're good. So where can people find you at? Where can they reach out to you at?
Oh, I am the Magic Jake Dumas on all social media platforms. If you go on Instagram, you'll see Magic Jake Dumas. Twitter, Magic Jake Dumas. Facebook, Magic Jake Dumas. It's pretty easy. Also, right now, the NWA has just officially released for pre-order my first television shirt.
Okay.
Me and CJ are both on it, so go pre-order that. They do look nice. I will admit they have my face on them, so they got to be magical.
And they have your name up in lights on there too at the top, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely.
I am a presentation of the NWA.
Fantastic.
What's the long-term goal with the NWA?
You know, it's kind of it's kind of a long-term goal in my career. I'm not really, some people will say I want all the money the NWA has, or I want to be the greatest NWA champion of all time. I just want you to believe.
I'm a believer.
It's good. It's real good. I got chills from that. That was really good. Yeah, for sure. So, if you have any advice for an up and coming person that wants to be in wrestling or is working their way up, what would it be?
I'm not going to do the cliche thing that everybody else does and is like, oh, well, get out, burn your boots, sell your shoelaces, and, pick up something else. Because that's kind of a bad way to look at it. Fight. Keep fighting. Keep getting up. In the entertainment industry, not just wrestling, but all entertainment, people are going to tell you no. People are going to tell you that they don't like you. They don't like what you're doing. They think that you are the worst thing to ever strap up a pair of boots. But those aren't the people that you started wrestling for. You started wrestling for that little kid that sat in front of the TV at 6 years old and watched Shawn Michaels retire Ric Flair. You're wrestling for that 12-year-old kid who still believes in superheroes because he sees them on Monday nights and Friday nights. You're wrestling to be that person that if you look in the mirror and you saw yourself as a child, they would be proud of you, and they would love the direction that you're taking right now. Wrestle for that person. Keep going for that person, no matter what you do in the business. If you're a referee, you're a commentator, you work a camera, you're a manager, or if you're a worker, keep going, because it's not easy. It's going to be hard. It's always gonna, most nights are gonna suck more than others, but there are gonna be, you know, I live my life under this idea that every day I wake up, I have not had the greatest day of my life yet. And once I hit that day, especially in professional wrestling, even if it's for one day only, it makes the years worth it. So keep going, keep fighting.
It's great advice.
Magic Jake guy.
Yeah, Magic Jake, absolutely, for sure. We want to thank you for coming on. It's been an honor speaking to you. Hate to cut it short, but we have an interview with Rush Freeman, and he told us that he was going to do a way better interview than you. So,
Absolutely not. You guys are going to get 25 minutes of hot air, and he's probably going to mess up his speech a lot more than I do.
Oh wow!
Have him tell you the. You should have him tell you the story about how he made the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion that holds the 10 pounds of gold stay after a taping that he had to he had to stay 2 hours after a taping and didn't get back to his hotel room until 1 o'clock in the morning because of Rush Freeman.
I guess I'll have to ask him about that. But once again, Jake, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hope to have you on again sometime.
Absolutely. You guys are welcome anytime. Just let me know.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Thanks. You guys too. Bye.
Hey everybody, it's Morty.
It's Brian.
And thank you for watching today's episode of Developmentally Speaking.
If you could, please click that subscribe button.
And don't forget to punch that bell icon so you can get notified whenever we go live or drop a new video every Monday. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next
Developmentally Speaking.